Presentation of to be or not to be digital teenagers. At the address running on overprint, we suggest a Webquest, a consolidated didactic instrument which has been for some time having wide diffusion with those who are reflecting on the formative use of technologies in the computer society, referring particularly to the use of the internet and consequently to the implementation of preparatory research paths based on a selection of reliable web resources. What is a Webquest? A Webquest is a request for the solution of a problem of knowledge through the use of accessible cultural resources on the internet. Such a request is addressed by a supervisor, the teacher, to one or more information researchers, the pupils, and for this reason it must be articulated in a propedeutic way. The whole researching process must be guided by the supervisor himself, who will implement it, if necessary, putting it on the web, like in our case. The Webquest will necessarily have to follow a very precise, determined pattern, conceived in 1995 at the University of San Diego, and so consolidated and widespread that it is, at this point, a kind of protocol. Let's see it in concrete terms. Our Webquest starts with an introductory question, with the aim of making people start reflecting on the way in which the media represents teenagers of the society of knowledge to develop critical thinking. So this will be the question: are you digital teenagers to all intents and purposes? Or better, do you think there is one way only of being digital teenagers? The question cannot be given a general or based on impressions answer. Our introductory page sends therefore to some widening materials, newspaper articles and YouTube videos, which must be drawn out, read, and carefully examined according to the stimuli contained in the texts found. Once finished the examination of these materials, a second question is asked: is the internet good or bad for teenagers? Inviting not to be contented, in this case too, with a vague and inaccurate answer, and warning that the following activity aims just at elaborating a wide and well-constructed answer, result of an aware and widened critical analysis of the way this problem is faced by mass media. Let's now go on with the area of resources, selected by the supervisor of this Webquest, to allow young researchers to answer in an articulated way the questions previously formulated. It is a search engine internal to a newspaper and the one of YouTube, through which to go searching respectively of articles and files concerning teenagers and its relationship with technologies, to build a base of knowledge on realizing a series of elaborations which must give body to a series of intellectual digital products. This logic operative objective is better explained on the following page of Webquest, where it is stated that users are requested to select, analyze, compare, and synthesize the information and data obtained through using the search engines. In a more precise and concrete way, users will have to realize a series of digital products interconnected one with another. That is, a mental map, a series of electronic slides, a short but complete article for the school magazine, a post for a blog, real or imaginary, and finally a review of the keywords that all will be used in the different researchers. For the last activity, a chart is foreseen that can be downloaded directly from the Webquest. But for the whole of the elaborations required, a kit of guiding materials is foreseen. The explanation of concepts and support operative instructions. It is in fact the supervisor's conviction that a good critical attitude must be realized also in the ability of elaborating and using communicative instruments integrated among themselves through different structural and a syntactic point of view. It is necessary, in other words, to cultivate precociously the ability to communicate in a cross-medial way that is, of getting used to dealing with the same concepts using different languages, styles and codes. Obviously, the pages of a Webquest are not a static sequence. It will be necessary to pass from one to the other, forwards and backwards according to the necessities, to reach the point of access to the resources, to examine the objectives and the required products, as well as to look for instructions on how to proceed in elaborating them, since they are the next element of the structure foreseen for a complete and correct Webquest. The page of the procedures contains precise and accurate instructions on how to realise the required products and on how to exploit in progression the previous elaborations as a base for the following passages. The next passage is very important too, because it makes clear the criteria that the supervisor is going to adopt to evaluate each of the requested products as evidence of the ability to build an articulated and problematic answer that is to argue and set forth in a critical way. The final page reaffirms synthetically the cultural and cognitive reasons for which the proposed Webquest is, or should be, meaningful on the cognitive level.